About something that almost nobody in this industry talks about correctly. And honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons so many med spas stay financially stuck, even when they look wildly successful online. Today, we're going to talk about the silent EBITDA killers in a med spa. Well, first of all, you're probably wondering, what is EBITDA? EBITDA, it stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's a metric that's used to evaluate a company's core operational profitability. And today, we're not going to talk about the obvious problems, the things like we need more leads or Instagram engagements are down. I am talking about the hidden operational and financial leaks that are quietly draining profitability every single month, while you, as the owner, are sitting there thinking, we are so busy, we must be doing well. And honestly, that's the mindset alone that can become extremely dangerous financially because revenue hides inefficiency so well. And trust me, as someone who spends a tremendous amount of time inside the operational and financial side of med spas across the country, reviewing P&Ls, payroll, memberships, pricing strategy, providers' productivity, their retention systems, their workflows, you name it, comp structure, scaling models, I can confidently tell you this. There are clinics that are generating multiple six figures per month that literally have no EBITDA. And that's not even the scary part. Most owners don't even realize until they start feeling how tight they are. Their margins have already shrunk. Their payroll, they're feeling how heavy it is that, they're struggling just to make payroll. And the growth no longer feels exciting. It's starting to feel stressful because a clinic can look completely successful externally. They have their busy schedules, they have that beautiful branded website and logo, and they're wearing all their merch. And in all reality, their payroll is heavy. They're, you know, they have this great social media presence, but internally their margins are compressed. They have operational inefficiencies everywhere. They have weak retention, and their profitability is quietly deteriorating underneath the surface. So stay with me until the end of this live because what I'm going to walk you through today is I'm going to uncover some of the biggest silent EBITDA killers that I see in med spas every single day and what they actually look like operationally. We're going to also talk about how they quietly show up financially and what the highest performing clinics are doing differently to protect profitability while they scale. And honestly, some of these are probably going to be happening inside your clinic, so without you even realizing it. So before we get started, a little bit about myself. My name is Brittany. I'm an operations consultant here at Diamond. I've been in the aesthetics industry for a little over 15 years. I've just been just about every role in the industry. I'm really excited to just jump right in and talk to you about, these financial operational leaks. And one of the biggest problems I see in aesthetics is that revenue is so loud, but the profitability is so quiet because everyone celebrates the revenue and everyone talks about those big months that they had and everyone gets excited about the numbers, but nobody seems to stop and ask, okay, but what did we actually keep? I've literally seen clinics post online. This is true story. We did 200,000 this month. And everyone in the comments is shooting these comments over like, OMG, goals. That's amazing. You're killing it. Love this for you. Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here like, okay, but what is their payroll? What do their COGS look like? How much discounting actually happened to make that number happen? And I wonder what their EBITDA is. Like, are they even profitable? Because listen, folks, if your COGS are high, your payroll is high, you have operational inefficiencies, if you have weak retention, you can still barely, and you may even be unprofitable. And honestly, this happens all the time in med spas. A lot of clinics accidentally build these high revenue with low margin businesses, meaning that these clinics look so successful on the outside, but internally, that owner is constantly feeling that financial pressure. And honestly, if you're already realizing some of these things might be happening inside your clinic right now, and this is speaking to you, comment the word profit below, and we will send you our 99 Profit Killers guide that'll walk you through to help identify where you are leaking profit and uncover some of those silent EBITDA killers, which could save you six figures a year. So let me actually give you a couple real examples just to really paint the picture here for you. I worked with this client. I'm gonna talk about the one that comes to the top of my mind right now. You know, they were generating really strong monthly revenue from the outside, and everyone thought they were absolutely crushing it. They had that beautiful branding, the busy providers, the full schedules, amazing social media following, but internally, their cash flow was so tight. And when I really started digging into their financials, that's when I realized their injectable pricing was so low. They were discounting so high, it was beyond excessive. Their payroll had expanded way too quickly. It was way too heavy on them. They had underpriced memberships, and their provider's productivity wasn't even being tracked. So yeah, their revenue looked great on the outside, but their margin compression was happening everywhere underneath of that surface, and the clinic didn't have a demand problem. It was an operational structure problem. Um, I'd love to bring up another example. Oh my gosh, this is a great one. I had a clinic, okay, where ownership was convinced they needed more staff because everybody constantly felt overwhelmed all of the time. But once we reviewed the provider's utilization metrics and the scheduling density, we realized the issue wasn't staffing, it was workflow inefficiency. Providers had gaps everywhere in their schedule. There was downtime. There was front desk systems that were just completely inconsistent. Their consultation conversions, they were non-existent. There was the no-show management system was absolutely weak. And payroll just kept growing without the productivity growing alongside of it. And guys, that is the fastest way EBITDA gets quietly destroyed in the clinics. I'm going to tell you one more example. I've also seen in clinics, they had super strong revenue again. They had hundreds of patients signed up on their memberships. But then I really dove deep into, analyzing the redemption behavior, the treatment costs, their retention patterns, the discount stacking. The membership model itself was actually compressing their profitability. And the owner was over there thinking, our memberships are saving us. We have so many patients on these memberships. Yeah, but financially, the structure was killing their profit margins. And that's why I always say, not all recurring revenue models are healthy recurring revenue models. And the reason I'm sharing these examples is because most med spa owners, they're not failing because they're lazy or unintelligent. They're so hardworking, they're exhausted. But aesthetics, let's face it, it's become so revenue focused that without the education, the operational finance and discipline, that margin protection and EBITDA strategy, it, that's what it's about. And if you want help identifying some of those leaks in your clinic, again, drop the word profit below, and we're going to send you our 99 Killers guide to help identify where those are happening in your clinic. So now, like drum roll, let's talk about what are these top silent killers of EBITDA. Number one, underpricing. Underpricing is the most dangerous silent killer in aesthetics because owners think that they're being competitive, when in all reality, they're killing their own margins. Let's think about it. If your filler pricing is too low, your toxin pricing is too low, your laser packages are underpriced, you're constantly discounting on those underpriced services, you're creating a business that has to work exponentially harder just to make the same amount of profit. Just putting my financial hat on here for a second, let's just say, as an example, there's an injector doing 30 syringes a month. If you increase pricing by $7,500 per syringe while maintaining proper positioning and retention, that can literally create thousands of dollars per month in additional gross profit. Guys, I'm not talking about adding headcounts, no extra hours worked. This is about working smarter and not harder because that profit goes straight to your bottom line, your EBITDA. And operationally, those discount heavy clinics, the problem is that they start to train patients to delay those decisions and not attract higher lifetime value paying clients. And the clinic starts living in that constant, desperate cycle of promotions, flash sales, urgent campaigns, discounting every month instead of building their authority, their value perception, and strong treatment planning confidence. Number two, poor rebooking and retention. I can't stress this enough. This one is huge. Most clinics focus so aggressive on acquisition and getting these patients in the door while completely neglecting what it takes to keep them in that door. And retention is the second biggest EBITDA killer, and it's where EBITDA really actually can expand. Because think about it from a financial perspective, a retained patient is dramatically more profitable than a newly acquired patient because of the acquisition costs that already happened. The trust already exists. The treatment acceptance increases. That lifetime value is increasing and conversion resistance is decreasing. But operationally, a lot of clinics who have no true rebooking systems, and by that I mean they have no provider scripting, no urgent language. They're not using that assumptive sense of urgency. There's no handoff process or follow-up SOPs in place. So, of course, when those rebookings drop, what do you think? Our marketing dependency rises and acquisition heavy businesses become very expensive businesses. And this is just an example. Number three, payroll bloat. This is one of the hardest ones emotionally for owners because payroll is usually the largest controllable expense in a med spa. I see clinics all the time where payroll expands faster than the operational scalability because they hired based on stress instead of hiring based on actual financial readiness and productivity data. And that shows up with underutilized providers, overlapping admin roles, unclear KPIs and inconsistent accountability. It also shows up through compensation structures that are just disconnected from profitability. And let's face it, a busy schedule does not always automatically mean that there's a productive payroll because operationally it typically comes from weak workflows, poor accountability systems, reactive hiring, unclear expectations, and communication breakdowns that create those operational bottlenecks. And the highest performing clinics, again, they're not just tracking revenue, they are actually tracking KPIs to have that visibility with revenue per hour, utilization, payroll, room efficiency, consult conversions. So again, if this is speaking to you, comment below to identify or comment the word profit below to identify where your leaks are happening. Number four, poorly structured memberships. This one surprises people because memberships are incredible, but poorly designed memberships destroy your EBITDA and profitability. They have multiple or unlimited models with excessive discount stackings, or they're underpriced, or there's unclear redemption structures. A lot of owners just tend to think, yeah, we have memberships, we have recurring revenue, we're great. Well, not necessarily. You probably have a deferred service liability because if members are redeeming services at a higher cost than the membership economics are supporting, your recurring revenue model is compressing your margin, and that's how it's killing your EBITDA. So number five, no visibility to the KPIs. This is quietly destroying scaling clinics every single day because they don't have the visibility into the data. If I were to walk into a clinic and ask, what's your provider utilization or what's your rebooking rate? What's your service mix or your revenue per hour or your membership retention metrics? The answer usually is I'm not really sure. And that clinic, you know what that tells me? It tells me they are operating emotionally instead of operationally. You can't operationally scale, but you cannot accurately measure. And the healthiest med spas out there follow this, and they behave like real businesses, not just like treatment facilities. So again, I encourage you, let's identify where your profit leaks are happening in your clinic. Let's save you six figures a year. Drop the word profit in the comment section below to start analyzing and uncovering where your leaks are happening. Right now, I want to jump over and look at our followers and say hi to some of the followers. Wow, we got a lot here today. Um, oh, Rachel, you did make it for the call. It's amazing. Good to see you. Hi, Amy. All right. Looks like, wow, gosh, there's a lot. I'm looking through the list of, oh, I see a lot of my clients. Good to see you guys. All right, I'd love to take this time to open the floor for some questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the chat and I'm happy to answer them. Oh, well, that was fast. What is a healthy EBITDA margin for a med spa? Okay, great. Think that's a perfect first question. And it's actually a really important question because most owners focus so heavily on that top line revenue, like I talked in the beginning of this call, without fully understanding what healthy profitability should actually look like. And generally speaking, this is very general, healthy EBITDA margins can land, 15 to 25% depending, but there's so many things that are dependent on that, like the clinic maturity, the ownership structure, the provider mix, the server mix, service mix, debt obligations, the rent, their marketing structure and strategy, and just how they're operating and their efficiency. So there's a lot of drivers that change that, and that's why the range is a little bit bigger. But what concerns me is when established clinics continue growing revenue without seeing margin expansion alongside of it. And that's because they don't have visibility into what their margins are by not being able to see it funneling down into the EBITDA. All right, let's take another question here. Got one that came in. What is the biggest financial mistake med spa owners make? Okay. Oh, there's a few. I would say the one that I see the most is I see scaling happening emotionally instead of operationally. And when I say this, I mean they're hiring too quickly, they're expanding their payroll too early, they're increasing their marketing spend before retention even improves. They're buying devices without utilization strategy. They already start expanding secondary, third, fourth locations before operational systems are even mature and stable. And that happens is, when they scale inefficiently. So I'd say that's the biggest mistake an owner can make. Which KPIs matter most? Okay, good question. If I want to assess operational health very quickly, I immediately look at rebooking rates, provider utilization, their payroll percentage, their revenue per hour, their service mix, their membership retention. There's a lot. But those KPIs are the real operational story underneath of that top line revenue that everyone likes to brag about. So I would say those. Any other questions want to come in? I don't see any. Let me check over here. Nope. All right. Well, if there's one thing I want people to understand from this conversation is that med spas don't fail because they're busy. They fail because of operational inefficiencies and financial leaks that quietly compound underneath of the surface. And the clinics that scale sustainably, they're not always the loudest online. Those are the ones that have that financial discipline, the operational discipline, the strong retention. They have that pricing integrity. They have visibility into their KPIs and healthy margins. And I guarantee you, they have leadership accountability in place. And all of that together, all of those systems protect your EBITDA. So if this live was helpful to you, send it to another med spa owner or provider who needs to hear this. If you want help identifying where your clinic may be leaking profit silently, Again, comment profit below and we will send you our 99 Profit Killers guide to help you uncover some of those silent EBITDA killers in your med spa on. All right. Looks like there's no more questions that came through. Have a great day.